Welcome, viewers, to the Microbrewery and Craft Brewery podcast, where we talk about trends and fads going on in today's ever-evolving brewing industry. Today we have Rhiannon with MadTree Brewing. Rhiannon, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
Uh, Rhiannon, would you mind sharing just a little bit how you got involved in the brewing industry?
Yeah, sure. So I spent most of my career working at the Cincinnati Zoo, and happened to be actually on a board with a woman doing a lot of like volunteer work, like collective women's giving is what it was. The board's called Impact 100. There are branches all over the country, but the original one started here in Cincinnati. And she sent me a text while I was away, actually on a work trip, and just said, I really think this job would be for you. This is really cool what MadTree is doing. Um, and I think it could be really fun. So I applied and went through the process. And honestly, I truly didn't actually think I would get the job just because I thought they would like close it down. It was in the height of COVID. So I think my very first interview was in like March of 2020. Um, and so I went through a lot of interviews, but my very first one was in March of 2020 when the world was shutting down. And so I kind of thought they would pull the plug on the position. Um, and the position was the director of strategic impact. So it was really focusing on the community impact work that MadTree wanted to embark upon. Get them to B Corp certification, focus their giving strategy. So I started there, and then about a year ago, I moved into the role that I'm in now. So the VP of Experience and Impact. So I have the people strategy or HR team. I have the private events sales team, and then I also have the marketing team, as well as the community impact work.
Very nice. Sounds like it's a fun but yet busy job that keeps you engaged with the community, and that's really great to hear.
Yeah, it's been lovely.
Yeah. Um, so with MadTree Brewing, would you be able to touch upon your approach to branding and storytelling to create a compelling narrative around MadTree's identity and products?
Yeah, so I think it's gone through kind of some beautiful iteration through history, right? So the brewery's been around since 2013, so 11 years old. And when it first started, there were only like 2,300 craft breweries in the US. And there weren't very many in Cincinnati, I will say. And now that number looks more like 10,000 craft breweries across the United States. So
Yeah.
the game has had to change a fair amount, right? Like
Mhm.
when we first started, it was such a new game. And there's a lot of history to what there were three founders. There are now two still left that work with us side by side every day. But essentially the the craft industry went like crazy, right? It was like this big, huge leap forward. And I think what we've had to do is rethink that strategy, right? Because it was like holding on for dear life in the beginning, right? Like produce as much as you can, get it into a can as quickly as you can, and get it into the store. And I think that's had to change over time. And so actually that's really the rationale for my role in the actual company, right? Was to bring a focus to what we were doing and build us into something that is bigger than beer. So
Mhm.
we're well on our way there, right? Part of that was building the foundation, right? So we just became B Corp certified. We're the only B Corp brewery in the state of Ohio. That happened in 2023.
Mhm.
We are dedicated to 1% for the planet. So we spend our sponsorship dollars in relationship to the environmental nonprofits that we choose to support in Cincinnati. So I think we really started honing in on our name, MadTree, and really starting to tell the story of our community impact work. And we're still, to be very honest with you, we're still trying to figure all that out because we're doing really cool work. we feel like we need to shout it from the rooftops, and we've got to figure out how better to do that. So I think that's the work now. We've built the foundation. Now it's time to like shout it from the rooftops, tell that story like you were talking about, and really get our consumers emotionally bought into what we're doing, because it's pretty powerful and impactful work here in Cincinnati.
Sure. I'm sure you can probably speak from experience. I know, uh, at least today, the craft brewing industry is very competitive, and especially after COVID, where a lot of breweries are dealing with, a lot of different issues such as supply chain issues. They're having to deal with just customer retention, and I think I've heard that the rise of craft breweries is kind of at a flat level right now, where you know there's not a whole lot of growth right now, so they're just trying to retain their customers, but also just keep them entertained as well. So they're building entertainment venues for them, and so it's pretty cool to see that in that aspect as well.
I mean, I think that's what you're saying is extremely telling, right? So one of the things that we've done is we've branched into the ready to drink cocktail. So we have vodka sodas called Sway by MadTree. They're amazing. But exactly what you're saying. And that's the segment of our distribution market that is growing
Mhm.
exponentially.
Would you be able to share a little bit about any successful marketing campaigns or initiatives that have significantly impacted MadTree's growth or brand recognition?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke a little bit about Sway. That has grown exponentially. We've had that brand around now for two plus years. But we just launched Rocket Pop uh literally probably a month ago, and that is just flying off the shelves. So it's a really beautiful packaging. It's red, white, and blue, right? True Americana. But it's also very nostalgic, right? So I don't know if you are familiar with like bomb pops, but it's a callback to a bomb pop. Um,
Nice.
so yeah, it's really good. It tastes great. It's nice, light, and refreshing. The thing about Sway is also, um, low sugar, low calorie, right? So it's speaking to that health conscious consumer as well.
Mhm.
So it covers a lot of bases, but it's a fun way to like package. It's a fun can. We kind of did a slight nod back to like the popsicle sticks in the can design. And so it's a fun, playful summertime, great for 4th of July, great for Memorial Day, great for Labor Day. I don't think we'll have enough to last to Labor Day. But we just literally just launched that, and it kind of blew out of the park. We also have, from our beer category, we have a brand called Seeing Colors. It's a hazy IPA that's doing really, really well. And then we have some new fun, exciting things coming down the pipe as well with some of our tried and true brands. So more to come on that. That'll hit in August, but really excited for what's to come there. The team's done such a great job. So excited to get that out into the world.
Awesome. Thanks for giving a little bit of background with those events coming up. And sound really exciting. Would you also mind sharing how you and your team kind of leverage social media platforms in your current role, um, and how you connect with your audience to provide your brands and products effectively or promote them?
Yep. I will also say I feel like that game is changing a lot too, right now. So it's another area that I think we're growing and learning in. Um, we tend to do really well when we're playful. So I will give you a really good example. It's kind of cute, and I hope it's okay to say this on your show. But for every April Fool's Day, we do something fun. And we've been doing it for years, and team does such a good job with it. So this year we put out on April Fools that we would launch Mad Weed. So it literally blew up. Like instantly it blew up. People were like either really excited or like that's the best, right? So it literally blew up. And I had my billboard companies reaching out to us. I had uh I think our gentleman who's in charge of finance had like lawyers reaching out to us, like, we're not ready, right? So all of these people really took it for what it was, and it was just a joke, but it blew up and it was fun and playful. And I had people commenting, right, texting, like, I can't wait for that to open. And I was like, guys, it's April 1st. Like, so I think when we can be playful and fun, that's when we win with our brand. And we haven't totally cracked the nut yet, but we do it on occasion. And when we do, we really reap the rewards from it. So yeah,
Cool.
we are not doing heart surgery, right? We produce beer and sway, and we're a hospitality company. We don't need to behave like we cure cancer or, right? Like we got to have fun. And I think that's a big piece of what helps with social.
Yeah, and I think when the things that you just touched upon, it just shows that, you know, you're human and, you try to touch people's emotions, and that's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
So regarding, you mentioned you're very involved with the community. In what ways do you and MadTree collaborate with local businesses and community events to help enhance MadTree's visibility and engagement?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, one of the ways that we do that is through our community work. So this is part of B Corp certification, but also part of the ethos of our company. So every single person at MadTree, when you are hired, you are expected to, every full-time employee, I should say, we have different variations depending upon full-time, part-time, et cetera. But the expectation is that you volunteer 16 hours a year. We pay you for those volunteer hours. We set up the volunteer component, but we want you to get out in community and volunteer with each other. It's also a beautiful way. We have 2 locations, soon to have a 3rd location. It's a beautiful way for our team to connect with each other out in the community doing work. So you're connecting with the nonprofit, you're connecting with other people in the community, and you're connecting inside with our team.
Mhm.
But I will say one of the things that I'm most excited about and most looking forward to, I should say, is every year we shut down in the fall and we plant trees with Cincinnati Parks Foundation, and Groundwork. So these are all local nonprofits. This year, we are wrapping in all sorts of nonprofits. So we are working with the Cincinnati Zoo, we're working with Ronald McDonald House, we are working with Habitat for Humanity. And so we are getting 200 trees in the ground in one of our climate safe neighborhoods. So one of the neighborhoods that have less than 40% tree canopy cover here in Cincinnati. So we're focusing our efforts there. I think it will probably be the biggest single tree planting day. We are going to max out the city's capacity to get trees to a location. So that is a really good way. And this year we're doing all sorts of fun things. We're going to do a community party. We're working on getting beer and sway there. We're going to create a beer that on the can has all the logos of everybody who's supporting this effort. So we're really building this into something that's fun and playful, but also at the same time is really giving back to the community. So that's something I'm very visible that you can see. I think the other piece of that is we ask our community to get involved with us. So every time you rent one of our private event spaces, we ask you to contribute some on your invoice towards carbon offsets, which ties back to us getting trees back in the ground in our local community, leading to changes related to climate change, right? Focusing on neighborhoods with less than 40% tree canopy cover. So we're trying to tie in with what the city's doing big, macro level, and also get down with our consumers so that they can also feel like they're part of what we're doing.
Awesome. Well, it's always great to give back to the community in that way, and just be giving, because when you give, you may receive something in return, but you can't have any expectations that you will receive something. It's always nice to be involved in that way. Um, so I know you probably have a large customer platform and big fans that always love coming back to your facility and your brewery. Can you tell me how do you gather and utilize customer feedback to improve your marketing efforts and MadTree's product offerings?
Yeah, so I can talk to two things that we've done recently that are pretty cool. So psychopathy is one of our it's our workhorse. We've had that brand for a really long time. It's kind of it's an IPA, right? It's it's a beautiful beer that has been part of MadTree's portfolio from day one, and it's part of our core brands. We are going to go through a refresh. So we're really excited about it. That should hit in August. And we did a lot of work with Xavier University, which is a local university here in Cincinnati. And we had two different marketing teams from different classes give us feedback, and we've tied some of that feedback into the can design. So we're doing a brand refresh, we're doing a recipe refresh, we're doing all of it at the same time. We also we went out into the market. So we spent time at some of our key accounts and got feedback face to face with our consumers. And then finally, we also put it out in a newsletter, and it was amazing how many people got back to us. So we probably have 800 touch points of data from our consumers giving us feedback on this rebrand in a really beautiful and very powerful way. They were they had strong opinions, which is really helpful for us. There's no guessing on what they liked and what they were not as big of a fan of. So I think that's one really key way. And the second way that we're doing it, not only just in our can design and refresh, but also in our spaces. So we are opening up a third location called Parks and Rec in Q1 of 2025. And we are working with a consultant to gather insights to feed into the design of the space before we even open. So I think those are two really key ways in which we are gaining a lot of beautiful information from our consumers and then feeding it back to them. And I think with this rebrand for Psych, they're going to see exactly what they said was important is going to show up on the can, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you all being proactive in that way, gathering feedback before anything's, set in stone and, meeting their expectations. That's a wonderful thing to see. I don't know if you had anything else to share today before we go.
I think the only thing is I love that you are taking this route. I think it's super fun. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for letting me share MadTree's story a little bit. We're pretty excited for what's to come with MadTree. There's been a lot of building, and I'm pretty excited for where we're heading. And I appreciate you taking the time to hear our story.
Thank you for joining us today. And viewers, join us next time on the next episode of Microbrewery and the Craft Brewing podcast. Until next time.